Hey everybody, welcome back to another recipe of the week with Cooking Rules with Jules. That's me. My name is Julia Pontanis and I'm here to help you make your kitchen experience not only easy but incredibly healthy as well. Now today what we'll be making is one of my favorite quick and easy weekday meals in my cast iron skillet. So if you follow me on my Instagram, you know that I have a love affair with all of my cast iron and I love it. And no, I'm not sponsored by Lodge, but I should be. You should know that. Anyways, moving along. So what we're gonna do today, I have here 2 chicken legs or drums. I have 2 sweet potatoes, so for the sake of camera edits, I've already diced some of my sweet potatoes, so I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. And then I also have some fresh asparagus, which will go in last minute because we're going to start this chicken in the cast iron on the range and then finish everything else off in the oven so it bakes up nice. So we don't want our asparagus to get soggy. I also have a love-hate relationship with this vegetable. Sometimes I love it, sometimes not so much, but a lot of that is contingent upon how it is cooked. If it's overdone and mushy, I don't want to have anything to do with it. So let's get this party started. I'm going to start by first heating up my pan on a medium heat and seasoning my chicken. So what I have here is an organic poultry seasoning. I'll bring it closer so you can see. And what's in this one is organic sage, organic thyme, organic onion, organic black pepper, organic marjoram, organic celery seed, and organic cayenne. So this saves me a lot of spices that I need to buy individually. It makes it really convenient when I'm making soups or a roasted chicken dish, kind of like this one. So I'm going to season my chicken. This is pretty powdery. Ground sage tends to get really powdery, and I do use this a lot. So I'm gonna just give it a nice pat. Oh, and guess what? I forgot again, per the usual, something to cook with. Okay. Ta-da! Tongs. So I'm gonna go ahead and season it first, and then I'll go ahead and salt it up. And you can use as much or as little as you like. I really like this. Has some unique herbs in it. Marjoram's not something you would normally buy by itself, but in this little mix here, it makes my life convenient. Okay. Now, typically with dark meat, chicken, especially since this has skin on it, I'm not gonna throw any oil down on my pan because my pan is already pre-oiled. So after I'm done cooking with my cast iron, I just rinse it out with water and I scrub it with a steel brush and then re-rub it down with extra virgin olive oil. So while my pan is still heating up, what I'm going to do with my sweet potato, so I went ahead and peeled it. I cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in half again. I have 2 halves. And then I'm gonna cut that in half, the halves into halves, right? Kind of feel like the Count on Sesame Street. Then I'm going to cut those halves into halves, which is quarters. And then, so now I have 4 little pieces, okay? Then I'm gonna go ahead and dice those up into about 1/2-inch cubes. So the important thing when you are baking is that you have unanimous sizes, similar sizes, with all of your vegetables. That way they don't cook unevenly, because that's the worst. So once I get my potatoes chopped, I'm gonna go ahead and start by browning my chicken. So I'm gonna find the skin side and put that down first. It's a big guy. Probably making faces, aren't I? So I got a nice little sizzle there. Don't want to waste any of this now, do we? Oh, I forgot to salt it. See what happens when I start talking? So I'm just going to give this is a sea salt, by the way. So I'm just going to let these little guys get nice and brown, and I'm probably going to kick my heat up just a bit. because I want them to get a nice sear on the outside and give them a little bit more. Now while that's happening, I'm going to move this to the side. For my sweet potatoes, I'm going to toss them in a little bit of olive oil, give them some sea salt. I want to make these with paprika, so they'll kind of have a nice smoky flavor. And then of course I like the contrast of the sweet and the hot, so I'm going to also hit them with a little bit of cayenne pepper. So I'm just going to give this a drizzle, not too much. That'll work. If you're not good at knowing your salt, then don't just dump it in there like I did. Maybe put it in your hand and then sprinkle it. My sister does that. I prefer to eyeball. That's going to be enough. That cayenne pepper, that'll give them a ton of heat. And then I'm going to go heavy on the paprika because I happen to love paprika. And now again, I have once again forgotten a spatula. Hang on. Back with the spatula. Alright, so I'm going to toss these guys up. Now in the meantime, I have my oven heating to 425 so that when this chicken is ready and this pan is already hot, which is going to help reduce that cooking time too, by the way, I can just stick everything in there. So be careful, cast iron gets really hot and you're going to need a really good oven mitt so that way you do not burn yourself. Okay. So those sweet potatoes are all nice and coated. Gonna see what's happening with my chicken here. Now, if your protein, if you go to check it and it doesn't peel up off the bottom of the pan, it means that it is not browned yet and it's too soon, so don't touch it. So let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. I didn't have to bother with that too much. Let's see if this one peels up. Yep, we're good. Excellent. So we're just getting a little bit of a sear on the outside of the chicken. It's going to seal in those juices and help make it delicious once we get it into the oven. So I'm going to give this about another 3 to 5 minutes and then we'll add in the sweet potatoes. So I just want to show you what the browning of the outside of that chicken looks like. So as you can see, I have a nice little caramelized color here on both sides, and that's also going to help keep the chicken skin kind of crispy. We don't want it to get soggy in the oven. Something else I did and neglected to mention was I patted the chicken dry with a paper towel first to pull out the moisture. That way we don't end up with that soggy skin action. So now that I have my chicken browned on each side, and obviously it's still raw in between, I'm going to start to add in my potatoes. Ooh, hear the sizzle just in between. Don't worry if it's kind of full, it will even itself out. But I do want to try and get as even of a spread as possible on the bottom of my pan. The other fun thing about this dish is not only is it tasty, but visually it's also very stunning with the contrast of the colors. So it's kind of an easy wow. If you have someone coming over for dinner and you pull this out, they're like, wow. I'm entertaining myself today, obviously. Okay. I'm going to let the sweet potatoes kind of sizzle up in here for about another 3 to 5 minutes, maybe even toast them a little brown, and then we'll get it rolling in the oven. For the asparagus, that's going to go in the last 5 minutes and no more of cooking. And we're just going to lay everything on top and let the steam from the veggies and the meat cook them up. Alright, so this is what we're looking for. Hopefully you can see, probably can't. Try that again. So on my sweet potato here, you see I have some really nice brown coloring. Obviously it hasn't got brown on that side, but that's what I'm looking for on the bottom of those sweet potatoes, I don't even know what that is, potatoes before I throw it in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get this going for about another 20 to 25 minutes, and then remember at that last 5-minute mark, I'm going to add my asparagus. So when we come back, I'll have asparagus ready to go, and we'll see where we're at in the cooking process. Okay, so my chicken and my sweet potatoes have been in here. I would say it's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, 30 minutes. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my asparagus and just lay it right on top and give it a quick drizzle of olive oil and set it back in there for about 5 minutes. Just another quick note, guys, I drizzled the asparagus with olive oil and I also seasoned with salt. So this is going back into the oven for another 5 minutes and it'll be finished. All right, guys, so I went ahead and pulled my cast iron out of the oven after I put my asparagus in for the last 5 minutes. And as you can see, we still have got a snap, so they're made just right and perfectly done. So thank you so much again for joining me today with your recipe of the week. If you liked my video, give me a thumbs up and tell me why. If you didn't like me, I also need to know why, so we can make things happen a little bit better. So join me every Wednesday for your recipe of the week. Go ahead, subscribe, get notifications right away whenever I have a new video up. And you can also hit me up on my Instagram, which is the same, Cooking Rules with Jules, for my daily Instagram stories. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.